The world's largest waterway is dying. Today, experts, influencers, and everyday social media users with an interest in the mega construction industry are engaging in heated debates about the Panama Canal, linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Are these just rumors, or is something truly changing its future? What did Donald Trump recently say about the canal that has further intensified the discussion? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into these questions to clarify the facts and figures. The Panama Canal. If you've watched my video, Nicaragua's $50 billion Panama Canal rival, you likely understand the importance of the Panama Canal. In it, we discussed a scenario where you're transporting expensive cargo on your ship, but you're stuck in Los Angeles. In that situation, you have three options. First, you could take a route all the way around South America. However, this option is both time-consuming and risky, especially when you're carrying valuable cargo. Second, you could opt for a route through the Canadian archipelago. Yet, this is even less practical. It's colder, longer, and far more challenging. Third, there's the Panama Canal, which connects the two largest oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic. Naturally, this is the shortest route, streamlining your travel. So logically, you'd choose this option, just as many traders have for years. They have long viewed the canal as an engineering marvel. A shorter distance means less travel time, reduced fuel consumption, and ultimately lower costs. Despite the Panama Canal being more than 100 years old, it was built using a strategic system of locks that allowed ships and their heavy cargo to navigate over mountains. These locks function like giant staircases, enabling ships to rise and fall to sea level. The primary source of water for the canal is Gatun Lake, which in 1913 was the largest artificial lake in the world. In 2013, the Panama Canal carried nearly 210 million long tons, 213 million metric tons of cargo. 3 years later, in 2016, the canal underwent its long-awaited expansion, with a hefty price tag of $5.5 billion. This expansion introduced a third set of locks designed to accommodate the rising demands of global trade in 2025 and beyond. Around 5% of global trade relies upon the canal's locks, and for U.S. containers, approximately 40% have been traveling through the Panama Canal annually for years. If those numbers don't seem staggering, consider that the canal handles roughly $270 billion worth of cargo each year. However, the future of the Panama Canal seems uncertain by 2025. Donald Trump has recently taken a deep interest in the canal's future, but how did he gain the authority to speak on its behalf? To understand this, it's crucial to understand the canal's history. If you're unfamiliar with it, don't worry, I'll cover the key events that have shaped the canal's status and the controversial statements being made about it today. History of the world's most important canal. The Panama Canal project wasn't something that was simply proposed and quickly turned into the world's most important trade route. Its origins date back to 1513, when the Spanish conquistador Vasco Núñez de Balboa first discovered the Pacific Ocean while searching for gold. During his journey, he realized that a narrow strip of land, an isthmus, separated the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. At that time, the idea of undertaking such a massive project to connect the two oceans seemed impossible. However, these early observations sparked efforts that would eventually lead to something people could never have imagined at the time. In 1880, France became the first country to embark on this ambitious construction project. The country was deeply determined to turn its vision into reality, and hopes were further elevated when the successful builder of the Suez Canal, Count Ferdinand de Lesseps, took charge of the endeavor. However, despite their initial optimism, the project ultimately ended in failure. They had faced several enormous challenges, including heavy rains followed by landslides, as well as deadly diseases like yellow fever and malaria. In 1889, the French company went bankrupt and all work was halted, marking one of the biggest financial failures in French history. Despite the colossal failure of the French effort, the concept of a canal connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans remained alive in the minds of one of the world's most powerful countries, the United States of America. In 1902, the U.S. reached an agreement to purchase the French assets in the canal zone for $40 million. The following year, in 1903, the U.S. signed the Hay-Bunau-Varilla Treaty with Panama, granting the U.S. exclusive and permanent rights to use the Panama Canal Zone in exchange for financial compensation. The plan to build the approximately 50-mile-long Panama Canal officially began in 1904. Although the U.S. seemingly didn't learn from the failures of the French, they strategically addressed the challenges in the second-ever attempt in history to connect the two oceans. John Stevens, a railroad specialist, focused on employing new equipment and recruiting West Indian laborers. At the same time, Dr. William Gorgas, who believed the diseases were spread by mosquitoes, implemented successful fumigation strategies to eliminate deadly diseases like yellow fever and malaria from the area. After more than $350 million had been spent, the Panama Canal was officially opened in August 1914. At the time, it was considered the most expensive construction project in U.S. history. In 1999, after years of collaboration with the U.S. that began in 1977, the Panamanian government gained full control of the canal. Challenges with the Panama Canal. On March 6, 2024, BBC published an article titled, "Can the Panama Canal Save Itself?" As the name suggests, the article clearly states that the most famous waterway in the Americas is running dry, highlighting the alarming situation that lies ahead. As we've discussed, the Panama Canal relies heavily on Gatun Lake for water, but the lake's levels have dropped to dangerously low levels. According to the BBC, the combined efforts of a rain shortage and the intensifying El Niño phenomenon were responsible for creating the second driest year in the canal's history. In response to this crisis, authorities were forced to implement water-saving measures, which included reducing the number of ships allowed to pass through the canal each day. While the number of daily transits can fluctuate, by December 2023, the canal had cut the number of daily transits from 36 to 24, along with weight restrictions. Addressing the natural challenges, Ilya Espino de Murata, the Panama Canal Authority's executive vice president, stated, "Panama is a very rainy country, but we see there's a reduced rainfall pattern coming that is impacting everywhere. So we definitely need to prepare for the future." While authorities have pointed to climate change as the primary cause of the water shortage and the resulting restrictions, many people view this explanation as part of a scripted drama. For example, one person commented, "Isn't the Panama Canal connected to two oceans? Why don't you let more water in from either ocean? Canals all over the world have their levels controlled by the connected river. Doesn't seem like there should be an issue, and seems more like a man-made issue to try and raise prices." Do you think natural disasters really matter? Or is it something planned to raise prices while keeping trade under pressure? Let me know in the comments. While everyday social media users and influencers flooded social media with controversial statements about the dominating waterway, Donald Trump made bold statements to grab attention. On December 25, 2024, he used his Truth Social platform to wish Merry Christmas to all, including to the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal. Jose Raul Molino, the president of Panama, denied the involvement of the Chinese soldiers, but this was just the beginning of the Panama-U.S. controversy. Trump also claimed that the Panama Canal charges exorbitant prices and passage fees to U.S. vessels.
"The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, highly unfair."
He threatened that if the prices weren't reduced, the U.S. would take full control of the canal without question. Currently, Trump's obsession with the canal isn't entirely understandable. However, if you consider the role of the U.S. in the canal's construction, things become clearer in some ways. According to the New York Times, when Ronald Reagan ran for president, he energized his people with the line, "We bought it, the Panama Canal. We paid for it, we built it." But friends, U.S. claims don't necessarily mean that everything will unfold as they expect. Molino had asserted that every square meter of the canal and its surrounding area belonged to Panama. Now the question remains, who will win this battle? Will the Panama Canal continue to dominate global trade? Will Trump be able to carry out his recent statements regarding the canal? We can only wait and watch. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming updates. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please like and share. It's the best way to support my channel.